either you push from the ground up, from the local level up to Washington, D.C., or you allow Washington, D.C. to trickle down on you.
Absolutely.
And I think we are at the point, and have been for a long time, where Washington, D.C. trickles down on us.
Absolutely.
And I think it's time we really flip that and we push upward. Okay?
Absolutely. And there's an ideology of doctrine of the lesser magistrates.
Right.
I don't know if you've ever read
Yes,
that book.
I hadn't read it, but I've heard about it. And I know
I encourage you to read that book. And it's not a hard read. It's 110, 120 pages maybe. Read that book because, and I was already doing it. I was already engaged when it happened. But one of the things that really kicked me off is when I got to reading that book and understanding, you know what, we're supposed to push up. Our county commissioners should be pushing up.
Right.
To our county executive, who should be pushing up, who should be pushing to our state reps, who they push up. And it's a push word up, constantly up. Everything on the face of the earth that God created does a push upward. Right. And so the thing is that if we can get these elected officials to push upward the direction we want to, we will see change. But the hard thing is they don't want to push up. They want to wait for something to trickle down. And then that's easier. It's easier to hand something down. Water flows the path of least resistance.
Exactly.
But we have to. It's our responsibility to start the push. It always has to come from the bottom.
So in essence, we have a gravity politically. It's falling on us, and we've got to push up and push against it. And at the local level, you see people that's where people have given up of pushing here.
Right.
Here. Now, I don't know what you see around the state. What do you see around the state? Do you see similar situations to what's happening here in Bedford County?
Exactly the same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I see, and it's a real problem that I'm actually, one of the reasons why I'm here is I wanted to find out how you guys are addressing it, because you see a lot of political parties that are starting up, and you'll see conservatives running parallel with the Republican Party. So my thought is, as I'm looking at this, are we going to be able to bring the two together, or are we just going to have to just see who shows up and who actually takes over at the last stage? My thought on the Republican Party is it's just a tool. It's a tool. It's available. We should be taking advantage of it. And so we have to get people motivated and get them to actually be in part. But the good old boy system has always been in play. So you have some control there that's already in play, and they don't want to give that up. So that's causing a parallel party to run alongside of that. I'm thankful for the parallel party that's rising up, okay, because that's better than people doing nothing. Yeah. That's better than we were with the good old boy system and people not doing anything. So I'll take the parallel party coming in and being the conservatives of Bedford County or whatever. Right. I mean, I can name them. I can start listing you a list of names of probably 5 or 6 counties I don't know. But at the end of this, once we get these people assembled, we're going to have to get everybody together, or we won't do anything on the state level. If you can expand your footprint outside your county, then you're going to have the opportunities to really push back inside the county, get outside. All the counties getting connected to know each other. Our radio program, your your podcast that you're putting together here, let's bring all this together. Let's get us moving in the same direction, and we're going to bring about great change. But I'm seeing people motivated, so I'm not discouraged that I see a parallel party coming in that's conservative.
Right.
I'm actually excited, and that's where I'm kind of jumping in at.
I think that if you take a look at the Republican Party here in Bedford County, for the last 15 to 20 years, mm-hmm. we've seen this system, the establishment, take control of the party, mm-hmm. and it's not conservative.
Sure.
It's rhinos. It's, I don't know if you would say independents, but it's not Republican. It's not conservative. So there's a confusion in my mind and a lot of people's mind. What's happened to the Republican Party? When I look at it locally, has it just been overtaken, or has the party shifted away from where I am? That's the question I have. Has that party shifted?
Well, here's what I believe. So 25, 30 years ago, everyone in your county were probably majority Democrat. 40 years ago, it was Democrat.
Yeah.
So what has happened over a period of time, the Democrat Party was actually hijacked, okay, by the extreme left. And when the extreme left kept creeping in and taking it over, and next thing you know, it became to where they were coming after the LGBT community, wanting to get their vote. They started scrambling, getting all this extreme vote. They wanted to get the illegal immigration vote. If you're an illegal alien, they wanted your vote. So they're trying to pull for every illegal vote they could. They're trying to scramble for every cause that was out there they could get, and it drove them over the left cliff. And so when they went over the left cliff, you had all these people in Tennessee that didn't want to go over the cliff. So they're left without a party. So basically kicked them out of the party. They don't want them there. If you're not pro-choice, if you're not pro for LGBT, I mean, and I'll go even further than that. They're not just pro-LGBT. They're for the man dressing as a woman coming into your school
Right.
system doing a lap dance for children. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're talking radical left.
And therefore pornography in your libraries, your
And people
school
in
libraries.
that's exactly right. So people in Tennessee couldn't tolerate it. So it drove off. So here's what happened: they were left without a party. So they started looking at the Republican Party, who is the dominating party in the state of Tennessee, not because the Republican Party did anything great. It happened by default.
Right.
But when that happened by default, the Republican Party should have stepped up and said, okay, we've got to bring this thing together or we're going to have a mob. So they actually got the mob, and the mob is leftover Democrats
Right.
that didn't have a party, going to grab the Republican because they do lean more conservative. They're never going to side with the Democrats now. But 30 years ago, honestly, Bill Clinton was more conservative than a lot of rhinos that we know. I mean, that's just the way he was. He was more conservative. He was for, when he was president, he was for traditional marriage. He was for these things.
Right.
And now you would never see a president. Bill Clinton wouldn't have a chance in the Democrat Party at this point.
Well, would he have a chance in the Republican Party now?
You know, it's a good question. It's a good question. But Bill Clinton, in today's time, would have changed parties and been a Republican eventually. That's what would have happened. These elected officials couldn't change because too much money was involved. But your regular Joe and Susie who lived down the street, they were left without a party. So now they're trying to clamor to this, and they were already in power anyways. They were already mayors, or they were already local lawyers or attorneys, and then maybe they had positions in local churches, so county commissioners. So they're left without a party. And if you're going to run as an independent or a Democrat, you're done in the state of Tennessee.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Because of the actions of the Democrat Party, not the actions of the
Republican
Republican Party.